Hello and welcome to Shad's Voice, where I usually have a topic that I talk about, either from a random topic generator or topics that I think of my own. At this point of recording, this one, probably been a month or over a month since my last Shad's Voice, which I do apologize. Trying to come by topics that I feel like talking about very hard, or I feel like I've already covered some point of it, or I just had no topics in mind to talk about. And yeah, I know it's been a while, but even though I want to go back to doing these, it's kind of hard to figure out what to talk about sometimes. But I'm back at least, maybe for a few, at least if I have some topics that hit me. But for now, I guess I kind of do. So instead of this long introduction, let's get back into, well, what the actual topic is. So, and I don't know, I guess I will call it, how do I want to word this? I do apologize. Like I said, it's been a while. Haven't had to do this in a while. Usually I have a focus. I don't know. Do you speak out, or does your voice work or something? And what I mean by this, and you can interpret this a whole different variety of ways, which that's the good thing about these sort of podcasts, whatever. Hopefully it's relatable and stuff like that. But particularly what I mean for this one, I don't mean like, do you speak out against people to stop bullying and stuff like that? And yes, I hope you do. But I also know that can be hard. But in this case, what I mean, is a situation where you feel like, well, speaking on terms of everybody, but in this situation, I guess it's kind of it's my own job as of late. And people have different opinions, of course. They have different thoughts, and uh, really, when you're higher up in management, it kind of makes things harder to deal with when you're not actually on that level. And so, and sometimes it's hard to get your opinion heard. But basically, before I get into that, and I'm not going to get too many details of what this is for me, but a sort of situation. Like for example, I never was one to speak my mind before. I never was a confrontational person, I guess, before. At my last job, barely said anything. I barely felt like I had any power, even if I said no. And that probably can be said for a lot of people who feel that way. And not very many people like me at that point, I guess, did not understand or feel like what I'm talking about as of you, yourself as a person, you don't think that you have the power to say no or not do anything you want to do, that your voice should be heard. You're kind of like not a confrontational person, and I get that, because I definitely am not, or wasn't. I'm not saying I'm not much of a confrontational person now, but you just, putting it in a way that people understand, people pleasing, which has its good and bad, by the way. You try to make everybody happy, and most of the time it's at the cost of you draining yourself because you're doing so much just to make somebody else happy, and you're just draining yourself of energy and possibly even your mental health. It affects a lot of things, and like I said, I know how this felt because this is happening at my last job until I completely almost went insane, and I was not in a great mental place at all, and I had to eventually leave. And since then, have been on a sort of road to recovery, which of course I'm still sort of in my head sometimes having a sort of trauma, and sometimes it's still hard for me to believe some of the things and some of the people who are treating me, but it feels like a hell of a lot better than I was getting back then. It doesn't feel real sometimes, and that is the reality of when things that were happening back then just should almost feel like it shouldn't have happened at all. And honestly, but it shouldn't have, but it did. And you kind of never forget that, and it takes a while to heal. So on this road to recovery for myself, as I'm saying this, I'm trying to, in a way, I'm bettering myself, hopefully trying to get over that trauma, trying to heal things that back then just cut me so deeply. And as this healing process goes, I guess I'm feeling like, or watching myself, that I'm becoming a little bit more of a comfortable, confident person, not an overconfident person, I hope. Sometimes I actually feel like I'm getting to be that, which I tell myself there's no way, because I've met some really egotistical and confident people before, and that's not good for anyone. That's annoying, and people like that don't make friends very easily. They make more enemies than anything. But what I'm finding about myself is I finally am getting that voice, I guess I'll call it, that I did not have before, quote unquote, voice. So, to finally speak my opinions on things that I would never have gave my opinion on before. And I guess one of the bad things about this is, well, you feel like, are you telling somebody else how to do their job? And stuff like that runs through your head, and hopefully you feel like somebody's not thinking that way. Which, to me, in this situation, I'm not feeling like I'm trying to run somebody else. I'm just happen to be close to someone in a higher management position that at least I would hope values my opinion, and he tries to value other people's opinion, but he also doesn't have a lot of people that like him, and he's very disliked. And I don't know, he just comes out different to other people, but I'm like friends with him, and that's a very tough situation, I guess I can say. And this big thing, which I'm mostly saying on this whole voice situation, is I'm hoping to help out all of my coworkers, and also help this guy that's hired in management hopefully better a situation that put him in a situation that a lot of my coworkers are pissed at him. I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually fix it, but I'm hoping, and as of when I probably release this tonight as I'm recording it, not even too long after I finish recording it, it's going to be happening the very next day. Even though I told him, hey, I have some opinions on this in a text message, but he had already left before I even knew it. So I couldn't actually tell him because I knew when it came to this day when I actually didn't have work that it was going to turn into a crap show, to say the least. And it did. So I've heard. But I'm hoping to at least make it work for everyone. I'm hoping he listens to me. I hope he values my opinion. And maybe I could sorta take the stress away from both parties, I guess, in a way, because not only is it affecting me and my coworkers, it's also affecting my own boss ahead of me, who, this guy that I'm talking about, is over my own boss. So, taking the stress away from everyone, hopefully, and hopefully calming down some people, stuff like that. And I'm not saying not a lot of people are going to have a situation like this, I would hope. I mean, maybe you'll have a sort of similar situation when it comes to like friendships or something. You try to make both parties happy, and sometimes it's impossible. You can't make everyone happy, by the way. But hopefully you find something to help both sides in some ways. And that's kind of what I'm aiming to do. But like I'm saying, as of right now in this situation where knowing I've never had that voice years ago compared to now, I feel like I'm in this stage of life, like I said, that I'm getting a little more confident, and hopefully it doesn't come crashing down on me that this is a bad thing and I revert back to like my old self. And really hoping that's not the case. But just, it sort of feels good because at least now that I feel like I'm sort of being listened to, and I'm actually speaking my mind, voicing my opinions, my thoughts, my ideas. That means a hell of a lot more to me than it was a long time ago. And it's crazy thinking about that. It's like I said, I felt like it was never something I had a long time ago, just because maybe I didn't feel like I didn't need to. There was a lot of things that probably needed to be said, but I just was not brave enough. I did not have the confidence, and I was mentally destroyed back then to do it. And I feel like part of the reason why this came out now in this has been in a year and a half already. Nearly 2 years. Already. Holy cow, like time flies. That I really care about the people I work with now, and they care about me, and like, in ways they're healing me in ways that I can't even tell them or thank them for, and they have probably no idea. And I feel like I do care about them. I want them to stay, and I don't want things to be worse because I know it can be very stressful very fast. And with things changing all the time, it can be very stressful and make a lot of people mad and upset and everything else. And like I said, I get that too. But I also feel like, well, I don't know, like, if you have power of management above people, you don't want people completely against you. And that's why I feel like for this guy that is higher power, even over my own boss, I don't want him to feel like everybody's his enemy, because that's not the truth, but sometimes people don't see things multiple ways. And I guess that's one of the things I try to think about myself, is at least I'm able to see different ways and see somewhat of solutions, I guess, that other people might not see. And hopefully that helps somebody else if I explain, hey, this isn't going to work. I get what you're trying to do, but there's a different way to go about this, that it's not stressful all on everyone who has to deal with this. If you would just let me talk about it and explain how these certain people are or whatever, that will do hopefully a major difference to create a major difference to hopefully maybe see that you're not a bad person, plus you're actually listening to people who know what's happening and going on and why it doesn't work. I don't know, and it's very difficult. Like I said, I hope, and like I said, this guy knows I want to talk to him tomorrow. Hopefully he remembers. Hopefully he'll still let me, after the things I've heard today from another coworker. Like I said, it can be very difficult and for anyone involved, and you just hope things work out. But like I said, it's very difficult to make everyone happy, and I also do know that. But I also believe in the power of opinion and giving ideas, and like there's different ways to accomplish something, but you also have to believe there are limits. You can't just force things onto some people that is nearly impossible for them, and you have to play on everyone's strengths, believe it or not. And I think he knows that in general, as I've heard him say the same thing to me once. He knows where I am stronger, and so it's what I wanted at one point, where I was suffering to do something else, dealing with social anxiety and dealing with customers in a situation that I was constantly being put up against, dealing with so many customers so many days, and then loud noises and everything else, and just, you can't do that to some people, and Mike knew that. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm able to make a change. But I'm saying, hopefully, to all of you who are listening to this, if you find something that you can hopefully help make a change on, I hope you're able to. But, like I said, I also know it depends on, do you feel like you have the voice to do it? And I want to say everybody does, but that is also not the case, because I know at one point I couldn't say all of the stuff that I want to know. I could not. I could say it to somebody, I could type it out easier than I could say it out loud to another person. And especially to somebody who is higher up and freaking power than I was. I don't know. It's very hard to speak your mind sometimes, but that's my goal. At least for the next day, I'm hoping I won't have to make an update on this, but maybe if I am victorious, maybe it might be worth something. I don't know. I can't say. Um, but right now, like I'm saying for this Shad's voice in general, I'm hoping you believe when you're coming out of listening from this that you have the power in your voice to make changes. Believe it or not, even if it might be hard, to say it. And you should, at least when you know something is going to affect you majorly, even if you can't speak for everybody, just be like, hey, this is like almost beyond what I'm capable of doing, or something. Just even saying that, maybe that could, hopefully, if someone cares enough, which that can't be said for everybody, um, to sit down and listen and maybe rethink something. Who knows? But I think that's all I have to say for this Shad's voice. Thank you for listening. If you had, if you want, let me know if you've ever been in a situation sort of like this, where you had to speak your mind, and I don't know, like I said, the outcome may never always be good, but sometimes it's better to say something than not say something at all, and I think that's what the thing that should be in like bold, underlined, highlighted things should be. It's better to say something than nothing at all, because if you don't say anything, things will not change. Or you made no attempt to get it changed. And people feel probably worse about that and haunted by that fact than anything else. And coming from me, I do know how that feels. But sometimes you just have to make the decision to not say anything at all, which might be the best decision, believe it or not. Sometimes that is the right solution. It's very hard to call at some points, but you never know. But thank you for listening. I will hopefully see you in another one pretty soon. Bye.